Hey guys, Mumbles here with another New World video, and today we're gonna go over another class that I tried out during the beta, and that was kind of like a Paladin wannabe class that you ran a hammer with the life staff, which I didn't think was gonna work until people actually started pointing out that a lot of the hammer and stuff adds focus to your gear, or not to your gear but to your person. So a lot of people were building like high strength, a little bit of focus, and letting the gear scale the focus the rest of the way. And with some really good rolls, you were able to get focus and strength, or focus and constitution, or one of the three. And boy, this actually worked out very well, especially for expeditions. This was key. I never died. A lot of people I played with, this one of my friends Steve I played with first saw this and told me, so I went did some research, and then I tried it out myself, and boy, this is an expedition slayer. This thing is actually really good for expeditions because you can just aggro the mobs and heal yourself while you're sitting there with your hammer adding buffs and debuffs. And with some of the life staff stuff, adding buffs and debuffs also scales to the hammer, which we'll see in the class making. So I'm really excited to kind of show you this because this is a very unique way to kind of build, but it works really well, at least for expeditions. Wasn't able to try it in like war or anything like that. However, I would expect war, when you're standing on the point to capture it, it would probably be very key to go ahead and do that and use this type of class, because you have the life staff for healing you and your teammates, but you also have the hammer when the other people start rushing in to try to push you off the point. You have the hammer to deal some damage, push them back, and add some CC to your attacks. So let's jump right in. I'm going to show you guys step for step of what this class is and kind of explain all the abilities behind it. All right, so to jump in, this is newworldfans.com. This is their class building system here. So primarily there's two ways to make this class. This Paladin wannabe class, you can either build strength first out of your points, or you can build focus. And essentially what's going to happen is you're going to look for that gear that offsets it. So if you're build full strength, you want to go ahead and get the gear that focuses on focus, just because you still want both stats up high so you can still deal a lot of damage while healing yourself and your teammates. So through the strength, you're gonna have 5% melee weapon light damage on the first tick. On the second tick, you're gonna have 10% damage on melee weapon heavy attacks, and then on the third tick is just plus 50% stamina damage from melee weapons light and heavy attacks. The big thing here is getting the first tick of focus, which is a 10% mana regeneration rate. And pretty much what this does is this just gets you that mana back in between your battles. Because when you run into battle, you're going to go ahead and buff yourself as much as possible first, and then take out your hammer and cause the CC to do your stuns, your slows, all that kind of stuff. And then this is kind of mainly just between battles. And then with your gear, with the jewelry, getting some good rolls, as well as there is a hammer out there that does do like plus 22 focus or something like that pretty early on. You can get to the plus 20 mana pool pretty quick, and then you can very quickly, with the other parts of your armor, you can get to the plus 20% healing output pretty quick as well. Now, I did see one build where they did build constitution instead of strength, so that they were more of a healy tank. But instead of the hammer, they went with sword. But I'm going to do a whole nother video on that and kind of show how they broke down their class building for that as well. So weapon set 1, we do have the Warhammer. This is the big hammer you see in game. First off, you're going to get Armor Breaker, a powerful swing that penetrates 35% of the target's armor and deals 140% weapon damage. That's a pretty big increase, where a lot of things just do 110, 120. So 140 is pretty severe. And doing that extra damage, especially if you build strength first, can really put the hurting on some people. Epitome Bunk, increase armor penetration by 10% for all Warhammer standard attacks. So all your base attacks, your light and heavy attacks, you just get 10% extra armor penetration. Especially this is a little bit better for PvP. Again, this isn't primarily PvP, but there is times where you're going to go out, flag this PvP as a group just for fun, and this is going to kind of help you out with that situation. Hammer Time, gain and power on heavy attacks, increasing attack damage by 20% for 4 seconds. This is going to be key when you start getting your combos set up, because you're going to hit a heavy attack and then you're going to go through your ability combos, and this will allow you to put out the most damage because of the extra 20% on top of the other abilities and passives that you get as well. I then went with Indomitable. Adds grit to the attack, making the attack unstoppable, so it can't get canceled or anything like that from any other abilities. Exhaustive attacks, all Warhammer abilities apply exhaust, slowing the target's stamina regeneration by 15% for 5 seconds. This is going to be really big for those people that you see that are just kind of dealing more damage because they're going to be using a lot of stamina. So slowing down that stamina regeneration is going to hurt them quite a bit. Mighty Gavel was going to be our second ability here. An overhead leaping attack that crushes down the enemies, dealing 160% weapon damage. And again, if we put in this hammer time, gaining the empower to deal an extra 20%, you deal an extra 20% on top of the 160. So you kind of pair this with your abilities to deal more and more damage. So after Mighty Gavel, we did Lasting Trauma. Armor Breaker grants the target's rend, reducing damage absorption by 15% for 10 seconds. So pretty much they can't take the amount that they can take damage is lessened, so they get less buffs against your damage. And then Summary Judgment on targets under 30% health, increased damage done by the Mighty Gavel attack by 20%. So again, if they're below 30%, this Empower, and I'm a huge fan of Empower throughout the game. You stack that with the below 30%, so you get an extra 40 plus the 160. You're doing a ton of damage pretty quick. So at this point, we hit Impact Fracture, and this will be the last one for this tree until we move over to the other tree. So increased stamina damage done by Mighty Gavel attack by 25%. So again, you have the stamina damage done by the Mighty Gavel plus the 20% for under health. And then you also have the Empower. If you hit the heavy attack first, you can get another 20% on top of that. You see how we're kind of stacking our abilities now. And then Crowd Crusher. Reduce stamina consumption by 30% when blocking melee attacks. That's kind of just being able to tank a little bit more while you're trying to aggro the bosses and the creatures through like an expedition or something like that. At that point, we're able to unlock Shockwave. Now, Shockwave is extremely fun. It's a big CC kind of AoE situation. Slam the hammer into the ground, causing a 3-meter radius AoE earthquake that deals 80% weapon damage, which is a little bit low. Stand by. Applies a stun to all impacted targets for 2 seconds. This is enough to cancel any abilities, slow them down, cause some chaos, that kind of stuff. You can also put the Taunt Gem. So if you have a Cornelian Gem equipped in your Warhammer, this ability causes a 6-second taunt when it hits. So that way you can aggro more people and kind of just take more hits. Frailty, the trauma of the attack causes weaken, decreasing the damage dealt from the target's attacks by 10% for 10 seconds. Now, anything over like 4 to 5 seconds is pretty severe in this game. So a 10-second effect, a debuff that decreases the target's attacks by 10% is severe. And this is really, really good, especially if you're sitting there taking hits. Meteoric Crater expands the effective range of the shockwave to a 4-meter radius. So now you're walking in a 7-meter radius, which is a pretty wide range around you. They don't have to be pretty much touching you now. You can get quite a ways away, and it can do quite a bit more damage. Acceleration. Reduce Warhammer cooldowns by 7% when using light attacks against the targets with an active debuff. So if you go ahead and do this debuff and then go make some light attacks, you're going to lower your cooldowns by 7% to go ahead and reset your abilities. Concussive Impact, plus 15% damage against targets with an active affected by an active Warhammer debuff. So again, this ability here or the Armor Breaker will go ahead and cause that, and that way you can do 15% damage against these targets affected by this. And the last thing, we're going to go on Crowd Cruiser before going to the other side again. Regain 35% of damage dealt as health when using a Crowd Crusher ability. So again, doing max damage with your Shockwave will regenerate you with 35% of the damage dealt, which is key. Again, stacking your abilities and your passives to deal more damage to get these extra buffs to yourself is key in this class. So Expedite, we're going to go back over to the Juggernaut side. After a successful Mighty Gavel attack, gain haste, increasing players' movement speed by 30% for 3 seconds. This is more of if you need to go ahead and get up to someone, or they're trying to run away or something like that, and you're able to catch up once, whether they try to heal or something like that, and they're like, all right, I'm going to take this hit. If you can get this hit off, it's going to slow them by 50 or 30%, which is insane amount of time. And then that is able to make you catch up and finish them off. Power Through Pain. For 1 second after taking damage, deal 35% extra damage. This is really helpful for when you're just sitting there tanking hits and not worrying about if all your buffs are off and stuff like that from the life staff. You can go ahead and just keep wailing, and you're going to do extra damage for every second. If you're constantly taking damage, that timer never stops. Justice for All. Press basic attack during a Mighty Gavel to add a second attack that deals question weapon damage. Now, this is a random amount of percentage of weapon damage. From what I've seen it all the way up to about 60 or 70. I haven't had 100% yet, but it can deal some massive damage of it. Definitely take advantage of this, and if you're able to get a second free hit in there, why not? So that is pretty much all of the Warhammer abilities and passives that we used. You can go ahead and take a screenshot and see what you hear, what you want to do, maybe tweak it your own way. I'm a big fan of Empower and CC abilities, especially with this type of class. So this is kind of what I went for this. Onto our weapon, our second weapon here, we have the Life Staff. This is going to be purely focus based, so keep your eye out on that and look for gear early on, especially if you're planning on doing this that has focus, even though you might be going for strength for the hammer. So first off, we went with the left side here just to get the Sacred Ground. So first off, we did Absolved. Life Staff's light and heavy attacks no longer take mana. This is key for initiating those attacks to not waste the mana on your light and heavy attacks that you would normally use on your abilities. We are then going to go ahead and get Sacred Ground as our first ability. Create an area on the ground that lasts for 15 seconds and heals 20% of weapon damage every second. This is why you want the focus up, because a lot of these abilities are around what damage it does and the percentage of that damage going into healing. Mending Touch. Life Stats heavy attack now removes 1 debuff when passing through an ally. This is more effective in boss fights and stuff like that when they have debuffs, or in war situations where a lot of mages and ice gauntlet people are causing debuffs on people. This allows you to try to take those away. Blissful Touch. Light attacks now heal a target for 20% weapon damage when passing through an ally. So if your allies are all lined up, you can hit one attack and heal them as well. Again, this is so that they can run in a little bit while you're putting on your abilities before you run in there and take over with a hammer. Holy Ground. Regenerate stamina and mana by 100% faster while in Sacred Ground. This just allows you to continuously apply abilities and stuff like that. So Blessed. While allies are in Sacred Ground, they are healed for 50% more from all healing. So this just allows them to get healed faster. Enchanted Justice. When hit in battle, activate a healing aura for you and nearby enemy friends in a 4-meter healing radius. English chat. For 10% weapon damage each second for 6 seconds. Cooldown's 120 seconds. So this is a long cooldown, but it's very key to be like in the midst of everything to kind of give your guys an extra kind of aura for healing. So I pretty much built up this whole left side first, and then I went into the protector side. So off the bat, you're going to hit Bend a Light. After a dodge, your heals are 20% more effective for 5 seconds. You can quickly just dodge first and then do all your abilities, so that way you're getting more buffs. It's one of those more simple things like the musket in my last video that you just aim down sights for 3 seconds before initiating the fight, and then you get the extra damage. Protector's Touch. Life Staff's light and heavy attacks grant 15% fortify for 3 seconds when hitting an enemy. This is kind of a thing that kind of buffs your people as well. Beacon. Shoot out a light projectile that deals 146% weapon damage to enemies, attaches to its target, and heals all nearby allies for 20% weapon damage each second for 10 seconds. Now, this is a pretty long buff, so putting this in there, or if you have to back up, regain some stamina from blocking, throw this down, you're going to do some damage while your friends are in there covering you, as well as healing them as well. Protector's Strength. If you have a buff, heal for 10% more. In most of these abilities, you should be buffed, especially with the Warhammer. You do have a couple buffing abilities in there, with like Fortify and all that kind of stuff. So this way you'll be able to heal 10% more, which with this class, you should 9 times out of 10 be having a buff of some sort on you. We then went with Light's Embrace. Targeted heal for 100% weapon damage plus 30% for each buff of that on that target. So if you're going to heal your friends in front of you, if you can buff them first with Sacred Ground or the Beacon, that way you can actually get more heal out of this. We then went with an Inspire. When you heal a target with Light's Embrace, target receives 25 stamina as well. This is very helpful for like your rapier builds, because some of their abilities does take quite a bit of stamina. If you do have another hammer or axe person, they do use stamina pretty quick as well. Connection. When you heal a target with Light's Embrace, gain 1% of your max mana for each buff your target has. Again, building up on these buffs to be the more buffs you have and your friends have means the more healing and utility that you're going to be able to apply to them. So we then built out the Beacon. So Infused Light, Beacon's area of effect is now 50% larger. Radiance Blessing, Beacon lasts 5 seconds longer. So again, you're now going to go for 15 seconds, which is again pretty long, as well as you're going to now Speed of Light. So when Beacon heals a target, it also applies 20% haste for 3 seconds, increasing their movement speed. This is big if for some reason, if you're in PvP, and your friend's trying to catch up or something like that to finish somebody off. That's mainly what this is going to be about. Glowing focus buffs you grant last 20% longer, so pretty much all these abilities end up lasting way longer for you. So this is a pretty key ability here. Magnify. When you heal with Light's Embrace, extend life staff's buffs by 2 seconds. So if you heal with Life's Embrace, all the buffs that you have done increase by 2 seconds. This is for post and prior buffs. So this class is mainly built around buffs, debuffs, doing your CC damage while also buffing you and your team, using your life staff initially to initiate battle, and then using your Warhammer afterwards to run in there and deal extra damage with the buffs and debuffs that you're able to get. You can get a ton of buffs and a ton of debuffs through this kind of class building, which is kind of why I like this no class building, because you can do all this kind of cool stuff that builds off of each other, which inevitably helps yourself more. So being able to understand these abilities and how to stack them is crucial in enabling you to do more damage or heal more or cause more crowd control, stuff about that nature. So I hope this kind of helps you guys out. Go ahead and fiddle over with your own classes. Let me know what you guys find down below. Let me see if you think you may have found a better combination. I would love to hear it. Honestly, I absolutely love trying new classes. I tried quite a few different respecs in the beta, so I'm kind of excited to kind of try different things, especially when the game releases. There has been a lot of changes with a couple of the weapons. I'm going to kind of stay away from those weapons for now, but for the most part, the big thing is I'm trying to help you guys out with kind of ideas on how to build your person and with how versatile this can be. So I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys go ahead and drop a like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. See when we do go live and new episodes do come out, because I'm super excited. Again, we're going to continue New World on Wednesdays and then have Escape from Tarkov on Sundays. But thank you guys. Make sure you guys drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Have a good day. Goodbye. Deuces, y'all.